Morning, Tony Virtue speaking, Virtue and Partners, and lovely to speak to you from Manly this morning. A little bit of a celebration to begin with. The economy grew by 3% annually. The figures came out last week, which now means that Australia has had 25 years of uninterrupted growth, and to my knowledge that's the only country of the major countries in the world that's actually done that. So we do whinge and complain a bit, but that's a fantastic achievement. And there are reasons for that, one of which is our proximity to Asia, and obviously that's where the growth is coming from at the moment, so we've got some natural advantages. We do have some free trade agreements recently executed with China, with Japan, with South Korea, so all of these things should help as the country progresses. Just through the earnings season in Australia, which was, it was solid enough, and I think the way to look at this is the larger blue chip companies. You're really looking at those dividends, which are pretty solid. Many of them are franked, and we're using those to fund allocated pension retirements. And then really the growth is coming from some of these smaller companies, and there's more volatility there, and we just have to live with that. Much of the volatility is coming from overseas, and we've got the US market and the UK market, no less, hitting all-time highs, and so interest rates are going to have to rise at some stage, and that will create a bit of volatility out there. There's a bit of crying wolf when the regulators will talk about lifting rates, the market will fall, and then they'll sort of play this sort of game of chicken. But eventually rates will have to rise, and that's actually probably a good thing, not a bad thing. Good to look at how things have progressed over maybe 5 years, and the pictures below really showing the growth of property prices around the world. I recently came back from an overseas trip, and one of the things you see is that very similar sort of patterns around the world. So properties in New York, in London, in Hong Kong, like Sydney, have gone through the roof, and probably driven by low interest rates and therefore low mortgage rates. The practical effect of that is that there has been a wealth effect. People actually do have, who are fortunate enough to own those assets, their assets have grown, and throw in now we're 7 years after the GFC. In many cases, superannuation in the growth phase has doubled. So people's asset base has grown, and we tend to sort of forget about that. But that does give us a little bit of a buffer. And the key now is how do we draw income streams down from that to replace active work through passive income. And that's something that we're working hard on, of course. Finally, on local news, we are going to put on a significant function in the next few weeks in the if I can say, retirement market. I don't think any of us are really in that retirement area, but there are different circumstances that need to be dealt with. Changes to Centrelink, changes to aged care, reverse mortgages, ongoing income streams from deferred annuities. So sounds a bit complicated, but over a couple of hours we'll get that nailed, and it'll give you a very good understanding of what's happening. If that goes well, we'll do this on an annual basis. So look, enough for me for today. Enjoy your day. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk again next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.